Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
When I was working in Avanti, that is when the seed to pursue management got in my mind. And I actually went back to recruit back into my college as well in 2017. And I realized the kind of impact that a good human resource manager can have on an organization. And that is when I decided that I'm going to pursue the human resource management from the best management college in India. I was always informed by my seniors and the people that had taken CAT before that it's a really difficult exam and the verbal ability is of a very high level and quant is something that even engineers will struggle with. So these were the kind of things that I was informed, especially when I took CAT for the first time. There was this notion that DILR is going to be super difficult. So that is the kind of thinking that was there when I was actually preparing for CAT and XAT. So I never felt that the 1 year that I was preparing into my preparation, I never felt it as a waste of time. I was developing some skills which will definitely come handy to me later on. For example, perseverance, the ability of taking mocks at any duration of the day. And in fact, I've taken mocks which start at 4 a.m. in the morning till 7 a.m. in the morning before the office hours. And that is the kind of perseverance that I believe will hold me in good stead going forward, even into my corporate career. So the first year of my preparation was in 2017. I attempted CAT and XAT both. And I actually did pretty decent in CAT. I scored 98.44 percentile. But the thing that happened was I got into a relaxed mood after CAT. I did not prepare very well for XAT. So this is a very common phenomena that normally develops into students, that once they take CAT, they tend to take XAT very lightly. That is the biggest mistake that I made. As far as my preparation was concerned, I definitely attempted a lot of mocks as was suggested to me by my seniors, but I never really analyzed them properly. So the analysis part of it was missing. And when I prepared for XAT and CAT for the second time, I corrected these mistakes. So when I was preparing in 2018, I again attempted CAT and XAT both. And this time, all the mocks that I took, I analyzed them very well. So if I spent 3 hours on a mock test, I would spend about 4 to 5 hours just analyzing and going through my mistakes. And since I had taken XAT very lightly the year before, this time I was super serious about it. After CAT 2017, when I had scored 98.44 percentile, I had shortlist from all the new IIMs, MDI, NITI and IMT Ghaziabad. I successfully cleared IMT Ghaziabad and a few new IIMs. I was not happy with the converts that I had, and I believed that I could do even better. So that is when I decided to shoot for CAT 2018 and XAT 2019, and that is when I started preparing again for one more year. So my CAT 2018 was quite good. I scored 99.39 percentile and I had above 97 percentile in all the 3 sections. I had shortlists from IIM Lucknow, Kozhikode, Indore, Shillong, XLRI after XAT, and MDI, NITI and FMS. So I had interview shortlists from almost all the B schools. Right after CAT 2018, the answer key was released and I calculated my marks and also understood the kind of mistakes that I had made during the exam. So I realized that I had made some really silly errors and some questions which I should have done correctly, I was not able to do them. So I made a note of all of this first. Now, especially in XAT, there's an entirely new section named decision making, for which normally the students don't prepare the entire year. So what I did was I got hold of all the previous year XAT papers, took a printout of all the decision-making sections and went through them regularly. And I had made a target for myself that by say 20th December, I would finish all the previous year decision-making questions, and so that I'm able to get myself acquainted with what kind of questions are asked in XAT. That is what I did till 20th December. And after 20th December, I started attempting mocks for XAT. Now, when I was taking mock exams, I realized that XAT is actually more or less on the lines of CAT except decision making. So decision making is one part which separates CAT from XAT, and that was my area of focus till the exam. I definitely believe that decision making plays a big part when it comes to management entrance exams, and I personally believe that it should be there in every single management entrance exam. It helps to gauge a candidate's response to a business scenario even before they come to the B school. So that is definitely something I believe should be there in every single exam, and I'm very glad that it is there in XLRI. In decision making, you are presented very small caselets with 5 options, just like any other question in XAT. Now in decision making, the thing that is peculiar is that all these scenarios are real life. So you would feel that this has definitely happened somewhere, and you have to actually solve it from scratch. And that is one area where I felt it was extremely challenging and also a lot of fun. It was never boring for me, as in it was always something which was very, very practical and something which was oriented specifically for a particular B school. The first challenge that came for me when I was doing the decision-making sections was that I was solving the question and I thought it was correct, but when I looked at the answer key, the answer was completely different. So what I realized was I needed to first have a group of friends who were also preparing for XAT and have a common meetup. So what my friends and I did was that we used to meet up in a small cafe in Bangalore, normally on the weekends, where we would go over the decision-making problems that we had solved together. And we would explain to each other why their answer is what they have marked, and then I would debate with them that my answer is correct, yours is wrong. So we had a debate and a conversation going. So and that is when I realized the kind of thinking that is required to basically crack a decision-making caselet. The other way I got better at it was by solving the previous year test papers and also having their solutions. So I understood that what kind of thinking is required to actually solve them. The XAT result was declared in the second week of January, after a week after the CAT results was declared. The feeling that I had after giving XAT was that I had done very decently and I might get a decent score. The moment the results were declared, I had scored 99.08 percentile, and to be honest, I think I should have scored even better. On the one hand, I knew I had done very well, but on the other hand, I also knew that I could have done even better. And I did not overthink this, because I knew that I would get shortlisted for both BM and HR, and I shifted my focus to the interviews. I was always clear that I wanted to do my MBA in HR, and this got even strengthened after I went back to my college to recruit back in 2017. I went back to my college in BITS, I recruited for my company, and basically realized the kind of impact that a human resource manager can have on his or her organization. So that is where my interest for HR developed, and I also started reading a lot of things related to human resource management because it was relevant for my job. And that is when I understood that this is something that I really look forward to studying in the future. I was aiming for the HR program. XAT for me was by far the most important exam, and even more important than CAT, to be honest. Right after the CAT and XAT results were declared and I started receiving shortlists from premier B schools, I decided to take professional help for my interviews. Now normally my dad and I have a regular conversation regarding my future goals. My dad is an army officer and he has always provided me very good feedback regarding my career. This time I also thought that maybe a third opinion could help, and that is where I decided to take professional help for my interviews. So while I was going through this professional help, I realized that the mistakes I had made in the previous year during my interviews was still there. I was getting extremely nervous, and I started fumbling a lot whenever I had an interview. And this was brought up to me in the numerous mock interviews that were taken, and I was being given regular feedback for all this. And that is where I realized that if I can correct this, no one can stop me from going to my dream B school. Even during the first phase of my preparation, I had started reading the Hindu from the month of June itself. I knew that if I get interview calls, current affairs is something which can really hit me later on. And it is something which I believe cannot be done in a matter of weeks. You have to be regularly updated with it. In addition to the Hindu, I also read a lot of monthly magazines. I had a regular subscription of the Frontline, which I used to read almost every single day, almost every single fortnight. While I was reading all of this, I also had a small notebook that I had prepared. Now, in current affairs, one thing that is very important is to have the context of anything and also your opinion. So what I did was, in my particular notebook, I had written down the current affair that had happened and also my opinion on it. While in the middle of my interviews, the Pulwama attack had happened, which was a huge story. Since this was such a huge event, the probability of this being asked in my interview was even higher. So I decided to get all the facts around this, all the history of how the Pulwama attack had happened, especially the context in which it had happened, and the kind of the steps that India can take forward. So I had written down all of this in my notebook and had built a story around it. So if I was ever asked in an interview anything regarding this, I remembered immediately the kind of notes that I had made, and I was able to put forward my view very well. For my XLRI process, it was a 3-step process. We first had a VAT, then we had a GD on the same topic, and after that it was followed by an interview. For VAT, specifically when I was taking the help, we were having regular sessions regarding how to write an essay, and which was under timed conditions. So I realized how my structure should be. I used to follow a very structured framework of writing a VAT, which I followed on the D-Day itself. So the structure that I followed for my VAT was that I would first rephrase the topic in my own words, and I would give some extra context. Then I would, if I knew the facts behind it, I would put down the facts along with my opinion, and also I would later on find the implications of whatever I had written, and finally conclude. It was a framework that I was following for a long time, and it was something which was deeply embedded in my mind. Since our GD was based on the same topic as the VAT, it was very easy for us to find points. We had already written the essay for about 15 to 20 minutes, so all of us had the points. The only thing which was challenging was to put it forward in front of a group and have a discussion. And it was a very fruitful discussion, and I felt good after coming out of the GD. I think I did my best, and which was followed by an interview. Now, my Excel interview was about a 25-minute long affair. I was asked questions on various things. I was given a puzzle. I was asked questions based on my work ex, based on my undergrad, and also the kind of changes that have been in me since my undergrad to my work. So all these things were tested in my interview. During my interview, when I was asked the puzzle, it was actually an incomplete puzzle. So the puzzle given to me was not complete, and the professors were trying to judge me based on that. I realized that a certain information was missing, and I later asked them that, "Ma'am, is there any information that is missing in this?" And that is when she smiled and gave me the next clue. And once she gave me the clue, I was able to figure out the problem and did it on spot. And that is one answer that I felt really, I think that is why I am here right now. On 23rd April 2019, I was sitting at home watching a movie on Netflix when I immediately received a message on my phone saying the XLRI results were declared. I remember my mother was sleeping next to me, and I immediately woke her up, told her, "Mother, I'm accepted." And she was super happy. She told me that, this is the best thing that she's heard maybe in years. And later on, I also told this to my dad, who was in an exercise in Ajmer. So that is how the day went. It was an extremely beautiful day. I get goosebumps even when I think about it. I'm surrounded by very high quality people. And one thing that goes in my favor is that I've been in a similar scenario before. I was studying at BITS Pilani before, and it is also one of the top engineering colleges in India. So I'm used to being surrounded by very high quality people. The kind of interactions that I've had in XLRI have been absolutely amazing. Right from the village exposure program to the outbound program, it's been extremely fun. Now, when it comes to studying in Jamshedpur, which is considered to be a very small city, and also the fact that I'm away from home, has never really played in my mind. I've always been outside my house since 2012 when I went for my engineering. So it's not that I'm missing my home a lot. I think XLRI is my home.